Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance's executive editor, Brian Sozzi. This indeed is the podcast that will leave you smarter about investing in the leaders that power some of the world's biggest companies today. But first, before we get into our feature interview for this episode, I do have to do our quintessential minute-and-a-half news hit, and I am locked and loaded on all things Nike. The new Taking Stock with Teen survey out of the team by Piper Sandler, always a must-read. They focused on 14,000 teens, see what they're buying, see what they're not buying, and I'm right back on Nike. Because this is a company dealing with lots of problems. Couple key findings here. First and foremost, the Nike and Jordan brand, Nike and Jordan, not squeezed together, they are tops in trends that are on the way out, according to 14,000 teens. On the way out, that's not normally something you hear from Nike. Nike is always, or theoretically, is usually popular. Also this, Nike is losing mind share with teens, especially females. So that's another problem for Nike's incoming new CEO, Elliott Hill. What is cool here at this point in time for teens? Streetwear, a category that Nike has historically not done well. My three suggestions for Elliott Hill as he comes in and figures out this operation, get into streetwear. It's okay for Nike to play it in streetwear. They've dabbled in it in the past. Let's do it again. Stop flooding the market with Jordan sneakers. There's only so many Jordan sneakers we can own in our closet. We only have 2 feet. And then also as well, just put the quality back in sneakers. I think Nike has moved its supply chain to many different parts of the world, has lost the focus on quality. In some cases, shoes are just falling apart, coming right out of the box. That's not good. Consumers want better quality for the products they are buying. I should note this too before I get to our feature interview. Nike stock has given up all the gains since Elliott Hill was announced as CEO on September 19th. So a lot of investor concern right there. All right, let's get into the real focus of this episode. Here with me, special guest alert, Adam Dell, Domain Money founder and CEO. Adam, good to see you. I think the last time I saw you, I think I was talking from my ex-girlfriend's kitchen during the pandemic. So it's good to see you in the flesh here at the NASDAQ.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us, for those not familiar with Domain Money, what's the state of the platform? What are you working on? And what inspired you to create it?
Sure. Great questions. So Domain Money provides flat fee, advice-only financial planning that is accessible to virtually anyone. Part of the problem we're trying to solve with Domain Money is that getting access to a high-quality financial advisor is typically inaccessible to many people given the high investment minimums that most wealth management firms require. We don't have any minimums, we don't sell any products, we just provide advice. What inspired me to solve this problem is that while I was at Goldman, I saw firsthand the wealth management business inside ACO, providing corporate solutions to employees at large institutions. And it was clear to me that the advice and the means of delivery of that advice was not ideal. Clients went through long onboarding sessions, answered 60 questions.
Who has time for that?
It spit out a 60-page set of recommendations. That's really hard for most people to kind of digest and understand. What we do is provide very simple one-page plans that give people specific to-dos that are in line with their goals and objectives, and people really like that. They walk away with an understanding of their entire financial picture. They have a list of things to accomplish and a set of steps to take that we guide them through, and we create total transparency around how we price the solution and the impact it'll have on their long-term goals and finances.
So when they show up to you, what are some of their biggest concerns?
It's all the things you would expect. How do we pay for college for our kids? How do we buy a new home? How do we think about our finances holistically? We want to retire. All of the things that are top of mind for a person in their life are the issues that our clients come to us with.
Are you seeing a next generation? So I think I'm still pretty young, and I have come to the conclusion that my generation, I guess was born in early 80s, they don't know the storm that's coming at them. You know, there's that transfer in wealth from their parents. Many of them not involved in markets. They haven't had this type of wealth before. I mean, this is a big problem.
Yeah, well, financial literacy is an enormous problem in this country. Most people don't have a good understanding of how much they're spending, how much they're investing, where those dollars are going, what's in their 401k. Does that align well with their taxable brokerage account? Are they too concentrated in technology stocks? Are they not getting enough exposure to technology stocks? It's just a complicated mess for many people, and it's quite overwhelming. And if you think about the enormity of the consequences of screwing it up, a lot of people just stick their head in the sand, which is really not a great answer.
Because we're going to live forever. I mean, that's the answer, at least in my generation.
Well, the truth is that the sooner you start financial planning, the better off you'll be.
What, how could one, so they go to your site, how do they help us navigate the site? Like,
what's the process?
Yeah, what's the process?
Yeah, so you can go to domainmoney.com. You can schedule a strategy session with one of our advisors. We'll set up a Zoom session and basically spend time getting to know you and what your goals are. We'll then ask you to upload all of your financial documents into a secure digital folder. We'll then start to parse through that data and basically build for you a holistic picture of what your life looks like. What are your income sources? What are your expenses? What do your investments look like? What does retirement look like for you today? What are your assets doing in terms of returns? And then we'll present to you a set of steps that we think will improve the overall outcome. And again, those outcomes are based on what values are important to you as a client. We have some clients who prioritize vacations today more than they prioritize retirement tomorrow. And so we build plans to reflect those values.
I think I'm one of those guys. I haven't been on vacation in years. It's so bad. I imagine you talk to the financial advisors on the platform, have some form of interaction with them. Like, what are some of the top advice or themes they're telling their clients as we get into the new year?
Well, I mean, probably the most popular theme that we see from our clients is early retirement. People want to have the power to dictate the terms of their life rather than being shackled by a job for eternity, right? And so having visibility into when can I retire and are there steps I can take today that will enable me to retire earlier? That's really a big theme among many of our clients.
Are people operating under the assumption that Social Security won't be there for them?
No, people plan for Social Security benefits to show up, and certainly the shortfall there needs to be addressed. But on an individual basis, people think about their retirement, including the benefits that will come out of the Social Security system.
I imagine inflation remains top of mind with folks. Yeah, we've just lived through a major inflationary spike the past few years. Inflation at some point will come back, maybe not at those levels, maybe higher, but that has to be a problem.
Yeah, so I mean, the important thing to recognize that while inflation is down, the increase in prices has remained, right? So groceries are still more expensive, gas, other things, and obviously the interest rate environment is such that borrowing is much different than it was 5 or 6 years ago, impacting the home affordability, impacting credit card debt, all of those things. And so the most impactful piece of that is retirement contributions. People are pulling back on their retirement contributions because they need to basically pay the bills. And so that's something that we help clients think through, generating spending plans and creating real budgets for folks. Even people who earn really good income, household income above 200, even those folks need to be thinking about how does inflation and my overall monthly spending impact my ability to contribute to my long-term investment accounts and my retirement accounts.
Do you see a lot of folks going back to work even though they've retired?
Well, we love to empower clients to think about getting to a place where work is optional. People today don't want to be entirely retired, but they want to be in control of their retirement, right? And decide where and when and with whom they work. And so we have lots of clients who want to get to the place where they can choose to continue to work, but on their terms. Maybe a lower stress job, maybe a job that's more in line with their values, rather than seeking just a paycheck. And so we help clients achieve that through long-term planning.
Is it hard to amass financial advisors on the platform?
Well, we've been very fortunate to be able to attract really high quality advisors. Our advisors come from places like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, Citigroup. We're really careful about the advisors we hire because we recognize how important these decisions are for our clients and want to give them the best advice possible. The thing that, again, we really enable is access. Most people feel as though a high quality financial advisor requires a large investment amount to get onto a wealth platform.
$2 million, well, maybe more than that in some cases.
100,000, $500,000, $1 million, depending on which wealth management firm you go with. We have no investment minimums. We really just focus on high quality, unbiased advice. The other thing people really like about our platform is that we don't push any products. We just provide advice, unbiased, focused on your values and your goals. And people really appreciate that because their typical experience with a wealth management firm is, welcome to the family of being a client of our wealth management firm. Now let's talk about getting you into some investments or a life insurance policy or an annuity. And that's not really what people want. I was really interested at Edward Jones's recent announcement where they've indicated that they're going to get into financial planning. You know, typically they just focus on investment management for clients, but they're really getting into financial planning as part of their core service. And I think that's a great example of how important financial planning is relative to investment management. People don't wake up every day and think, what's my Sharpe ratio? What they do is they wake up and they say, am I going to be able to retire? Am I going to be able to take the vacation I want? Can we afford the home we want? Can we pay for college? And the intersection of all of those competing variables in your financial picture really need to be planned carefully and thoughtfully with a long-term perspective. It's not just investment management, it's life management.
Hang with us, Adam. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're having a great conversation here in a new episode of Opening Bid with Adam Dell, Domain Money founder and CEO. Do you view the coming wealth transfer from baby boomers to their offspring? How big of a tailwind do you think that will be for the economy, for your industry?
Yeah, so $84 trillion are going to change hands over the next 20 years. It's the largest wealth transfer in history, as you mentioned. You know, for us, it's an enormous opportunity to think about how to serve those early to mid-career professionals who need to plan for that wealth transfer and the impact it will have on their lives. But I will say that there's a much higher level of consumption among the aging population to care for themselves. They recognize the rising cost of healthcare. They recognize the value of home health care. And so you'll see a significant portion of those dollars actually be spent by people who've decided to take control of their long-term care. And so while the wealth transfer will impact meaningfully the younger generation, there's also a significant component of those dollars that will go to healthcare consumption costs beyond what Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid provide.
What would your advisor tell someone of my generation, or maybe even me? How do you have that conversation with your parents? Because I'll use me for an example. I don't really know anything about my parents' finances, and I was, I think, taught to not remotely ask, because if you do, you're getting sent to your room without dinner. So that's still in my brain, even though I'm much older.
Yeah, it's a big problem. People don't talk enough about money, and particularly within a family, the dynamics of the financial situation of your parents and their long-term well-being and the impact it'll have on your life as they pass is something that people need to learn to talk about. And we encourage our clients to have those conversations and give them frameworks to think about broaching those subjects. They're often sensitive. It's really important to just be transparent as parents with your children and similarly as children in talking with your parents, so that you're all on the same page about what the expectations are and what's realistic and reasonable to try to achieve. The problem I see with many people is that they're just really unwilling to face the reality of it. And that's a very, very bad formula for long-term success. Hope is not a strategy. You need a realistic plan and small incremental steps to take toward that plan. And as it relates to your parents' generation or our parents' generation, having that conversation earlier rather than later, especially as they age and their cognitive abilities decline, is a much better approach.
What are those steps? Is it just as simple as like picking up the phone? Are you take them out to dinner?
So there's some really basic things. Do you know where their will is? Do you know who's the administrator of their estate? Do you have a sense of where the assets are held? Do you understand the mechanics of their will or their trust or their estate plan? do they have an estate plan? If they don't, should they? And how can you help them put in place the steps to ensure that happens? We provide estate planning solutions to our clients and give them a very simple flow chart that explains, here are the assets, here's where they will go at the time of a parent's passing, and how the mechanics of that all works is really important to understand. The biggest thing that I think a lot of people miss is just the tax implications, understanding what taxes will face the estate and how that impacts the assets at the end of the tax obligations.
This is awesome insight from Adam, but Mom and Dad, I know you watch all my episodes. I'm still not asking this stuff. I'm still terrified you're going to send me to my room without dinner. I will digest, no pun intended, everything that Adam just told me, our audience, and ultimately you. You mentioned you worked at Goldman on Marcus. Like, I always thought that was such a huge opportunity for the company. What happened, and why couldn't there be more of a consumer focus inside of Goldman?
Well, you'd have to ask the senior leadership at Goldman Sachs why they made the decision to move away from the consumer business. The progress we made at Marcus was quite profound. The business grew quite quickly, launched a number of large partnerships, including the Apple Card. It was quite a exciting time to be at the firm, and I'm really proud of the things we built there and the milestones we achieved. But again, you'll have to ask senior leadership why they decided to shift course.
You're a serial entrepreneur. I mean, are you amazed by the growth in all forms of payment? You mentioned the Apple Card. You have a firm. I just talked to PayPal's new CEO, Alex Christ. There's a reinvention going on with there. Everybody is chasing this opportunity, but how big is the opportunity?
Well, there is enormous. There are enormous tolls that are extracted on the payment rails that are being chipped away at by firms like Stripe, PayPal, and others to make the transfer of money and the enablement of double coincidence of want through currency move faster and more efficiently. And I think we have a long way to go to remove those tolls. And so I'm excited by the prospect of what alternative payment rails can provide for consumers to lower their transaction costs as it relates to moving money around the world.
How are you a crypto guy? I mean, do you see that as a valid asset to have in one's portfolio? And do clients that come to Domain Money, do they ask you about it?
We absolutely get lots of questions about that. We recommend that clients who are looking for that level of risk and return opportunity have a small portion of their portfolio in crypto if that's something they're excited about as an investment opportunity. My long-term view about blockchain technologies are that they represent a real opportunity to, as I said, reinvent the payment rails. There really needs to be a killer application for blockchains beyond just speculation in crypto. The most useful application today is really stablecoin, which is a very valuable function in our economic system. But there needs to be applications beyond a stablecoin for this thing to really take off.
I think you've created, 5 businesses?
A couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, so I will say serial entrepreneur. To me, that's what drives you to continue to create these businesses? Like, inside your head, why do you find the process so fascinating?
Well, to me, it's really fun to try to solve a puzzle. I find myself drawn to problems that I see in the world, and if technology can help solve those problems, that to me kind of sets off a light bulb and sends me down a path to try to build something of value around that problem set and the technology that can improve it. And so I find myself in the middle of these startups every 5 or 7 years. Can't really tell you when I'll stop or why I pursue them, other than I just love the activity of creating something and solving a real problem.
Someone that is listening or watching to this episode, let's say they are inspired by your story. How do they go about starting a business, and what are some of the do's and don'ts, and what mistakes have you made in the past that you wouldn't want to make again?
Oh man, this show isn't long enough for me to list all the mistakes I've made.
Hey, team in the back room, we're going 3 hours here.
Yeah. The most important thing I would say is that if you can find a problem in the economy that you can solve with technology and replicate that solution at scale, you really have something. And if you look at the underlying unit economics of that problem set and the money you can generate from solving it, if there's you can generate more money than it costs you to solve it, then you really have something. And then the question is, can you build enough of a moat around that thing to really make it your own uniquely valuable technology that you can sell at scale? And so I look for businesses and problems where those dynamics exist. One of the things I often see with entrepreneurs is they really get focused on the activity of building the company rather than the activity of solving the problem. And keeping your burn low, focusing on unit economics, ensuring you have a small, tight team of committed souls who are in this with you to try to conquer some large problem together are some of the ingredients that good teams and entrepreneurs are able to achieve.
Adam, it's a real treat for me. It's not the norm that in the past month I'm able to talk to two brothers. I mean, I talked to your brother Michael about a month ago. He was in New York City talking about AI and how it impacts his company. Now I'm talking to you about technology and the movement of money. What's your view on AI? Of course, I appreciate his view. AI is moving so fast, it's going to change Dell, the computing company. But how does AI change the industry that you're in terms of financial planning?
There's enormous implications to AI in our world. Document parsing, data extraction is already being totally reinvented by AI. Clients upload documents. We're able to extract all the salient information we need using some technologies that basically remove 3 to 5 hours worth of manual work. We can correlate various clients' data and look at trends across clients much more quickly with AI. The whole financial planning software industry, Money Guide Pro, eMoney, Right Capital, those solutions are traditional software packages used by wealth management firms. I think AI is going to completely disrupt that whole ecosystem. You can generate financial plans quite quickly with AI. We use AI as almost an agent to help our advisors generate plans, but to be clear, it's human beings that generate our financial plans for our clients. It's not just a machine. But as I look at how AI is being used by our engineers, by our advisors, by other folks on our team, I see it as almost having this very powerful assistant or agent that works with you, helping you accomplish the task you're doing. And that is going to pervade every aspect of our economy. These tools are so powerful, and because AI is so accessible to anyone, literally anybody with a computer can access a technology stack and a level of capital expenditure that was previously completely inaccessible to them. That's going to yield enormous new opportunities, and it's quite an exciting time in our economy. This is a shot in the arm in the IT stack that is probably more impactful than the internet long term.
Well, a couple things I learned in this episode. I need to have that tough conversation with my parents, and I need to get better on AI tools if I want to create my financial plan, and I guess my will, and I just realized I don't have a will.
If you go to domainmoney.com and sign up, we can certainly help you with all that.
Okay, yeah, just a real moment in real time. Adam Dell, Domain Money founder and CEO. Good to see you. Real treat to get some time with you in person. We appreciate you coming down to NASDAQ. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Please be sure to like us on YouTube, hit us with some 5-star ratings on Spotify and Apple. Do your thing. We appreciate the support.